That's right. The title is not clickbait. I did actually almost die. And for those of you that have noticed, I haven't been uploading for a while. It's been, I think, maybe 9, 10 days. And the reason for that is I got really, really sick. And I'm talking really sick. But in that, I did remember a story. So back in I want to say 2019. No, this was actually late 2018. Anyways, doesn't really matter. I had a sandwich. And the reason is that's a very interesting sandwich is that sandwich almost ended my life. And I just figured I'd tell you guys a story because it was actually a very interesting one. So what happens is it was Sunday night. I was with my family, my wife, and we were having a sandwich. And we were each having our sandwiches. And funny enough, so it was supposed to be my wife's sandwich, but we traded last minute and I had it instead. Anyways, it all makes sense. Just a second. So we had the sandwich, we went to sleep, and maybe about 2 hours into my sleep, I woke up with a very high grade fever. We're talking 39.5 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, so you're gonna have to do that calculation for me. But anyway, so that was a very high grade fever. We didn't think much of it. I figured, okay, I'm just pretty sick. And then I woke up vomiting and pretty aggressively. We're talking like bloody vomiting. Anyways, just thought it was like a stomach bug or something. Left it for a day, was on basically Advil and Tylenol for that period of time. And then, so yeah, anyways, I get a very high grade fever. I'm on Tylenol. I get better for when I'm on it. Well, for that little 4 hour period. And then it's bad again. And we thought to ourselves, hey, this isn't very normal. Maybe I should go to the hospital and get it checked out. So we go to the ER. And this was about 3 days in because, try to fight it as much as possible. But in the ER, funny enough, they initially diagnosed me with a bacterial infection in my mouth. And that was because at that day, I started getting like a little, basically, the end of my tongue became very painful, very sore. And I would have what's it called? A sore on it. And then there was a sore on my lips. And I'm like, well, shoot, that makes sense. It's an infection. I'm getting fevers, right? High temperatures. All adds up. No. So, anyways, they give me medication, antibiotics. I go home and I'm on them. And then I get way worse. And I get way, way worse by the next day. So, about 36 hours later, I go to the hospital again. And they're like, oh, no, you just have herpes. And I'm like, okay, but where would I get that from? Because I don't do that. So, like, there is zero place for me to get that kind of thing. Nothing against people that have it, just saying that there's no way I would. Anyways, so that's the verdict they came with, and they gave me an antiviral. And now, by this point, we had the sandwiches Sunday. The second time I went to the hospitals was Thursday. And when I went to the hospital, and they're like, yep, it's just that. And then I didn't believe it, and I knew there was something wrong. But the issue we have, and that's a whole talk about the healthcare in Canada, but it's very unreliable. Our doctors aren't exactly the best because all the good ones go somewhere else and get paid more. Anyways, so I'm coming out of the hospital. I'm like, there's no way. So we try to go to my family doctor or general practitioner, and she was closed. So we only had one day because she opens up again on Friday, and then she doesn't open up all weekend. And at this point, I came home from the hospital. I was on my antiviral. They told me to stop the antibiotic, and I had a fever at 40 degrees, 40.5 degrees Celsius. So that's a very dangerously high fever. At that point, you're risking brain damage, right? And we didn't know what to do. We were all like, I was just in shock, basically, because even the doctors couldn't figure it out. And anyways, so we go to I don't know how I got through that night, but we did. And we went to my family doctor, and she looks at me and she asks a very, very small question. She asks me, when did this happen? And, I'm sick, so I'm not able to tell doctors, hey, maybe you should ask me about how this happened. But that's a question the doctors never asked, is that, when did this start? And then I gave her the story, and I'm like, so, like, we just had dinner, and then she's like, what did you have for dinner? And I told her it was a wrap. It was like, chicken. Well, mine was actually beef, but doesn't matter. And she looked at me, and she's like, did you bite your tongue afterwards? And I said, yes. And it was the funniest thing in the world. She said in her 30 years of practice, she's only seen this condition once before. And what I actually had was that, and this is gruesome, so if you don't want to hear it, click off. But what actually happened was the gentleman, let's call him that, almost killed me, but we'll call him a gentleman, that made my sandwich actually had a pussy infection on his hand, is the way she put it. And as he was making the sandwich, that infection on his hand, wasn't wearing gloves, of course. Really wouldn't really, not a surprise. Anyways, and as he was making my sandwich, that infection had to have popped. And as that infection popped, it went into the sandwich. And as that infection went into the sandwich, someone ate that sandwich. And that was me. And that's why I told you it was funny at the beginning, because had my wife had that sandwich, she was 6 months pregnant. That would have completely it would have destroyed our lives. So it was good that I was the one that had it, but hell, I didn't know if I was going to survive either. I've never been that sick in my life before, and this sickness right here reminded me a lot of that because it was very painful. And then I'm like, well, at least it's not that. So yeah, I just wanted to make this video to let you guys know I haven't been uploading for the past week and a half ish, let's say. Yeah, and then the uploads will be up. I'm gonna try to go for dailies, and yeah, have a good one, guys. Please subscribe, support the channel if you want. Links in the description. Have a good one, guys. Bye now.